I go to these countries and I learn more than the average traveler. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel with me Zeva. So this video will be about the things that I have learned throughout my 20s. In my opinion, when you reach your 20s, it's a very life-shaping period and it can set base for what's to come in the future. But it doesn't mean that if, for example, your 20s didn't turn out that well or didn't turn out as good as you expected to be, it doesn't mean that when you reach your 30s and onwards, there's no chance to make your life better. And hopefully all these nuggets of lessons that I have learned will be helpful for you all at home, whether you are currently going through your 20s or you're in your teens and you're in preparation to go into your 20s, or even if you're beyond your 20s, like you're in your 30s, but there are some relatable things that you can also match with whatever you're going through or whatever you've been through. You're not alone. But anyway, I'm going to show you some highlights of the things that I have learned starting from when I'm 20 years old up until when I was 29. Oh, and by the way, if you're new around here, hello and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more things from me, and you can always watch my older videos. There are so many that I have made, and who knows, any of them will pique your interest and you'll learn things from them as well. And let's start with when I was 20.
I ain't got no pastime. Too much on the line, I ever let the shit pass. I be steady chasing peaks till I flatline. Too much on my mind when it be stuck up on the past.
So when I was 20, I was enrolled as a student at a university in Bandung, Indonesia, and I studied international relations at the time. And the thing with me is that I can't just go to campus, go to my classes, and then go back home and that's it. I really want to make sure that my university experience is maximized as much as possible. So I was not only active, with the usual stuff in campus, like going to classes and everything and going to seminars, but I also joined student organizations, and that's within the campus. But not only that, I was also active outside of the campus. Joining these communities, these societies within campus or within university and also outside campus and outside university really shapes your perspective and also your personal development. So you're not only involved with people that you're familiar with in the day-to-day, for example, your university friends, like your classmates and everything, but you're also making new connections outside of the campus, because there are so many things that we can learn from both groups of people. And it's really fun if you find people that you really connect with. Sometimes like you have a group of friends, but they may not share the same causes that you care about, and through these communities, through these societies, you meet people that share the things that you care about, that you really want to delve into, and that's super fun. So I recommend you to do that as well when you're in university.
All these pretty girls only wanna be the same though.
For those of you who don't know, you can ask for sponsorship to your rectorate, to your campus. For example, to attend conferences, to attend seminars, whether it is in another city in your country or even abroad. Because when you're a student, you don't want to burden your parents, right? And you don't always have enough savings to go to these events, so why not propose a proposal to your campus? When I was 21, I had a few friends approach me and they asked me whether I wanted to join them applying for a World MUN held by Harvard in Taiwan at the time. So Harvard, they have the HMUN that is located within the United States, and also the World one that moves around in different countries. So that particular year was in Taiwan. So these friends of mine, one of them was my senior and others are in the same year as me. I joined together with them, and then we made a proposal together, and then we submitted it to the rectorate of our university. And we got the funding, we got the sponsorship. And I think one of the key to getting a sponsorship from your university is you also need to have good grades, and you need to be students who are known to have a good standing with the campus. So yeah, we ended up going to Taiwan. That was my very first trip ever with a group of friends abroad. It was super fun and I learned so much. So I met amazing people from all over the globe and we discussed these issues together.
Came off that way. Didn't mean to hurt you, babe, but you...
Another important lesson that I learned when I was 21 is not to be ignorant with local, national issues around you. Not only about the international, but don't forget about those that are closer to home, because these are the issues that will impact you the most or impact your people the most. During this age, I applied to a human rights school for students, university students, and I passed the test. I got in and I went on this 1-month summer school with them, and I learned so much about human rights issues in Indonesia and also environmental rights issues in Indonesia. And you don't need to go and look for similar human rights schools in your area because there's no guarantee that you'll find something like this, but at the very least do read various resources, not just from one side but also from multiple sides, so you can get a lot of breadth of perspectives, whether this is through books, journals, articles, asking academicians, asking activists, asking people around you, because there are many cases where even those around you that don't have high degrees or whatnot, don't have extensive professional experience, but they are the people that experience directly these human rights abuses, environmental abuses. So what I mean by this is try not to only travel just for doing the usual traveling things. For example, when you're just doing traveling the way that most people do it is, you're there for leisurely experiences all the time, and then you're there to buy souvenirs, you're there to take great pictures to post on your social media. If you really want to, you can actually have more empowering and valuable experience wherever you travel, whether it is within your country or also abroad. For example, go to places that are not that touristy. Go to places in certain areas where you're having your holiday that is less traveled. And also, slow traveling is actually the best. Of course, not everybody has the luxury to have an extended period of time to do slow traveling, but even if you have only, for example, 3 days or 5 days in a certain area, you can actually slow travel by not sporadically going to all these sites, all these places. Like, you're not really enjoying your time, you're doing it in a rush, you're only doing it so you can get as many pictures as you can, but you can save a few hours, for example, to talk to locals, to ask about their history. Like, there's so many ways to do this. Another way that you can get more out of your trips, for example, is what I've been doing. So for me, most of my 20s, whenever I go abroad, it's usually not using my own money. So I apply to conferences, I apply to seminars, I apply to summer schools and whatnot, and usually I get accepted. Thank God, alhamdulillah. And then I go to these countries and I learn more than the average traveler. For example, as I explained earlier, in the usual traveling, you're just there to see the sights, take pictures, and that's it. And enjoy the food, and that's it. But because I attend these events and these programs, I get to learn more about, for example, the culture, the political system, and also how various things work depending on the theme of the program that I attend. I get to meet various communities that I've never thought before that I would ever meet if I only go to that country just to leisure and travel. But whichever way you travel, whether it's through official programs and fellowships and activities, or whether it's through just the usual leisurely holidays and the usual trips that you do, what is most important for me is just to not rush things. You might miss out on the important details.
Beauty queen, skinny jeans.
When I was 23, it was also another amazing year for me, but it doesn't mean that it's always smiles and laughter. But let's start with the first one. So the first one is pick those who are closest to you wisely. Not everyone who are around you are authentic with you. I've had my fair share of friendships falling out, we just don't vibe anymore, or I don't get the clarity and the closure that I deserve. And I get bullied sometimes. Like, these things just happen in life and you just have to deal with it and step up. When I was 23, I learned that you want to be surrounded by people who are happy for your journey, people who support you as much as you support them. And there are no envy undertones. Like, you don't need all that, it's just too much drama. So I learned this the hard way. You don't want to be with friends who are somewhat not happy or maybe threatened of your achievements. For example, at 23, I already knew that I was passionate about human rights back then, and I want to know more about that. So that's why, because I showed passion towards the issue, when I apply to these things, I usually always get accepted. And not many people are always happy to see you always succeeding A, B, C, and D and going to places because of it. You want friends who are transparent with your friendship If there's no transparency in the friendship, there's no friendship at all. So if you have a fallout with somebody, maybe the friendship is not meant to last. That's why true friends are diamonds. Super hard to find and super hard to lose. You don't deserve people fooling around with you, belittling you, and stamping on you.
Oh hey boys, just you and me. Now I know what I want, gotta hold on.
Another thing that I learned when I was 23 is not to just hang out, not to just be friends or acquaintances with people who are like-minded with you. You have to want to spread your wings and also relate somehow with people who have different mindsets from you. You don't have to be friends with them closely, but at least be acquaintances if that makes you feel more comfortable. But the main idea is not to just surround yourself with people who think like you, because you won't grow. You will be very closed-minded and you will only have tunnel vision towards various issues. I learned this when I went to a summer school in Turkey. I met many people who I never thought I would ever meet in my life. Before I attended this summer school, it was a part of my scholarship for my master's degree. Like, I would never imagine that I would be friends with, I would be meet with people from Eastern Europe, for example. There are people from the Stan countries, from the Central Asian states like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and then there are people from Mongolia, and then also from parts of Africa. Especially in the news sometimes portray Eastern Europeans in a certain way, for example, or Africans in a certain way, for example. But when you meet people directly who are from there, who are Eastern Europeans, who are Africans, I get a new perspective that I can learn so much that I would never get from history books, from mainstream media, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really interesting and mind-opening. My housemates, they were from Ukraine and Serbia. Like, I would have never imagined before that I would be meeting people from Ukraine and Serbia. Is just amazing. And I also know people from Kosovo and also from Macedonia, like these very interesting places. And when you meet these people, it feels so humane. Like, you don't, like, the first thing that you talk about is not about politics or any drama back home or anything like that, but you just talk about everyday things. You talk about your likes and dislikes, your hobbies, and you hang out together, you chat about these mundane things, and you just feel more relatable. And from that, various stereotypes that you might have heard about just fades away, because everybody is unique no matter where they come from. And for everybody watching this, you don't need to always go abroad to meet people who are different from you. For example, you can always chat with your neighbors who are from different religion than you, or you can always befriend somebody who has a different political perspective from you. Like, even though if you don't really click on the political front, but there will always be other things that will connect you. For example, you like to watch football. You go and root, or you support the same football team, for example. Like, there are so many ways to do this if you are willing to open up your personal borders to people who are different than you in one way or another. Like, you never know what you will learn from somebody who has a different lifestyle from you, who has a different perspective from you. You don't always have to fully agree with them or agree with them at all, but at least you will see them from a more humane context. And that is very valuable, and that is what the world needs more right now, actually.
Ooh-wee, I got this feeling that just you and me into someone off of Italy.
It's now 4:24. After I finished my master's degree, so I did my master's degree in the UK, I realized that, and also looking back to it now, at this age, I realized that master's degree is not for everyone. It's a very great way for you to boost your experience, and getting a master's degree can also boost your income check for certain conditions. But I think it doesn't mean that if you don't get a master's degree, you're not going to be as successful as those that get a master's degree. And if you get a master's degree, it doesn't mean that you will excel more than those who don't. Because I think that everybody has their own way to shape their lives and be successful and be happy, and everybody's parameter of successful is different. In life, there will always be challenges in its own shapes and sizes, in its own ways, whether you get higher education or not. However, it doesn't mean that I'm not thankful getting a master's degree. I'm super thankful. Like, I learned so much about the issues that I decided to delve into. I learned from various amazing lecturers from various backgrounds that really enriched my mind. I met many people from my year, even though back then, if I look back, like, I didn't hang out much a lot because I was so focused with my studies and also focused with trying to settle and, you know, just blend in with a new environment. But still, I got to meet people that I met through classes, and also when I go and hang out in the cafeteria or in the library, I build friendships, I build some network, and it's just so rewarding. I learned so much about myself because I live far away from home, which is not the first time actually, but this is like in a different context. But of course, it's not always happiness and sunshine. There's also parts of me that was tested, like my resilience, my patience and everything, like this one right here.
I still think about calling you, but that just causes problems.
I didn't experience anything that was life-threatening to me, but I would say that I did have my fair share of experiencing harassment. It's nothing that I can handle, but I just learned that there are certain situations where you have to stand up for yourself, just so that the other person can't just step all over you, you know. They also need to take some lessons from you, learn some lessons, but then there are also some other instances where you just have to calm yourself down, just let it go and then walk away. So there are instances where I really had to learn in these uncomfortable situations. But I pulled through. Know when to respond or just let it be and let it go.
Here we go, it's all about you, it's all about me, it's all about what we do, making art.
If I look back at my 20s, I realized that I get involved with crowds, certain crowds that are, I would say, not what the average person would get involved in. For example, I would be surrounded by high achievers, I would be surrounded by the alpha females, alpha males, and, you know, the creme de la creme of the crowd. So when I was 25, I got selected officially to represent my country, one of the delegates of the Indonesian delegation, to represent Indonesia at the Y20 Summit. The Y20 Summit is an engagement group of the G20 Summit. G20 Summit consists of member states in the world that has the strongest, 20 strongest world economies. So Indonesia is a part of that. That's why we get to participate. And when I went to the summit, I met many amazing young professionals, and I noticed that within these sessions where we discuss and we lobby and we debate about what to put in the communique from our group, for example, we have these working groups, it does require a lot of effort. And I realized that when you deal with people who are smart, you know, who are knowledgeable, who are very professional, who are high in their career, you really need to up your substance. It doesn't mean that this only goes for people who meet these types of people, even for you all out there who just go through life as it is. It's really important that you know your stuff, you know. It's really important that you up your substance, whatever you're involved in, whether it's something that is like a blue-collar career or whether you're involved in a certain business, like a small business, even like if you have your own salon, if you have your own makeup line, or if you have home business, for example, you cook and then you sell it to people. Like, if you know what you're talking about, if you know what you're delivering, people will respect you. People will want to listen in and take you more seriously if you know what you're talking about, compared to it's a situation where you don't really understand what you're trying to deliver, you don't really know what you want to say to people, and then you look really unsure. People will also be unsure towards you. So if you want to gain respect, especially in a more higher crowd, you really need to know what you're talking about. But it doesn't mean that if you deal with other people who are not in that type of a crowd, you don't do this. I think it's really going to help you a lot if you really know the substance that you want to share to people about.
I mean, you know I ain't lying, 'cause I hate wasting time.
So when I was 26, I moved to a different province, and it was my first experience working somewhere far. And not only far, it was in a rural area. So it's not in the city, not even in a town. I experienced a lot of personal growth when I worked there at the time. My job back then as a consultant was very flexible. I didn't have to stay put in one place. I can navigate my way depending on the tasks that I set myself for that day. I was traveling on a motorbike between Denpasar and the place where I was staying, and also in the outskirts of Ubud. I met many amazing people, local people in the area, but also foreigners who worked and lived in Bali as well, that did a lot of initiatives to do with sustainability. It was very interesting. And apart from all the work stuff that I did, I also experienced my very first road accident. Yeah. I fell off my bike and I hurt my back. My back's nerve system was pinched or something, and my back was numb, like half of my back was numb. It was a really scary experience, but I pulled through it, and I was so thankful that I have friends in Bali that really helped me out. And can you imagine, even though I had a road accident, thank God that I didn't break any bones or anything, so I still can do my day-to-day job and everything. Like, can you imagine, after that accident, I still had to go back and forth between the place that I stay and into Ubud, the outskirts of Ubud, and also Denpasar. Sometimes when you're faced with challenging things, you just have to go with it. Don't do anything crazy. You still, for example, for me, I still took my meds. I still go to the doctor to get my checkups and everything, but because I know that I have the responsibility to finish what I do, I just had to pull through and finish it. And I still have the physical capacity and the mental capacity to do it, so I did it. When you're traveling far away from home, especially if you work in rural areas, if you have to go through, roads that are challenging, even literally challenging roads, as long as you believe in yourself, as long as you take care, you can pull through. Even if accidents happen to you, such as what happened to me, like a road accident, as long as I know that I'm still capable of finishing my job, finishing my work, I can pull through. You can pull through.
See me poppin', I'm a blossom. I don't need a Batman to my Robin. I'm official on a dotted.
There will always be people that you will meet throughout your 20s that is very challenging. Whether they look down on you, whether they're just super hard to deal with, there are many things that will bother you when you relate yourself with others. And the most important thing is, how do you handle that properly? How do you find ways out? And even when you try to find these ways out, and then you realize that there are blockages left and right for you trying to get to the truth, but at the very least that you have tried to find ways out. So these are the things that you will learn when it comes to dynamics with other people. I mean, naysayers will always be there. People who don't support you will always be there. There will always be people who will be against you. This is where I learned. I learned how to handle myself. I learned how to say no, how to say yes. I learned how to rise above it. It takes time. It's not always an easy process. But what can you do, right? When you're living as a social animal, we're humans, we're social animals, you have to find ways to cope with things, to deal with things the best that you can. Don't let anybody pull yourself down to their level if you know that you're not doing anything wrong, But you also have to learn to introspect, because nobody's perfect, right? Who knows that maybe you're doing something wrong as well in the situation. But when there's naysayers who disrespect you, who belittles you before you can even prove yourself, you have to at least set boundaries and rise above it.
You my rocket, you my perfect picture. Baby, you know I'm tryna kick it with ya. Ain't gotta wait till it gets dark. We can 106.
For me, throughout my 20s, I do a lot of social work and pro bono work, so it's kind of second nature. I don't always have to put a price tag on it whenever I want to contribute myself to people, but of course I also have to make sure that it's still doable. When I was 28, I co-led a youth organization, and at the time, I had a full-time job, so I had to juggle between this organization that I'm working for pro bono and also my full-time job at another place. And it's not always easy, especially when you get super busy at your day job, and then you also have to deal with this, and juggling is complicated. But because I really care about the issue, I really want to be responsible about the organization that I'm leading, even if it's pro bono, I managed to do it. And I think I would confidently say that under my leadership and also my co-leader's leadership, we really did a really great job in leading this organization, this youth organization. We made various events, we made various activities for the public, and the social media presence is on point. These things are not always easy. By working pro bono, it really teaches you how to be more selfless, how to be more patient, how to juggle various things at once, and know that even though you're not getting paid, it is still rewarding in other ways. And through it, I met various government agencies and also worked with a few private sectors and also other CSO groups. It's rewarding. When I was 29, something happened to me and I realized that anything is possible if you put your energy into it subconsciously. In life, you just notice that there are certain things that just pop up on your path. You didn't really do any effort to get it. For example, if I want something, I would usually apply for it, or I would usually search for it. But there are certain cases where there are just some things that just appear on my path like that. And it's something that I've always wanted to do since ages. Okay, to back up a bit. So when I was in my undergraduate degree, so when I was making my thesis, the topic that I took was about Germany and also Russia in regards to their energy security situation. And at the time I was like, one day I will go to Germany and see what the country is like and experience German culture. And also one day I will go to Russia and I will see what Russia is like and experience Russian culture. So that was me all the way when I was like 21. So one day on the 29th year I lived on Earth, I was invited to go to Russia. I didn't even apply for it, it just landed on my lap. I was so ecstatic because one, I get to go to Russia. It's been my dream since I made my thesis back in the day about Gazprom. And two, it's to go to SPIF. SPIF is an international economic forum, and it is notorious that if you want to attend SPIF, it is super expensive. It is located in one of the most beautiful cities on earth, St. Petersburg. And it is super beautiful, by the way. It just takes you to another time. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you dream about something, keep on dreaming, because who knows, it will appear in your life. You know, you will manifest it into your life. There are various things where you really need to work for it, you really need to put so much effort to get it, but there are also certain circumstances where it's just as if it's like the gift from the gods or the gift from the universe, and it just kind of appears on your path. So dare to dream, because you never know. If something is meant to be on your path, it will be on your path.
Wish I could feel what I can't see. Float like a butterfly, scream like a banshee.
There's this super popular quote. I can't really remember how it's said word by word, but basically, if you stay silent when you see injustice in front of you, it means that you have taken the side of the oppressor. Don't lose courage if you feel that you need to speak out about something that is unjust in front of your eyes, that is unjust based on what you're experiencing or what other people or another person is experiencing. If you want something to be improved, if you believe that there is something or someone that needs to be called out, collect that courage in you and speak out. Even if the people around you aren't supporting you, even though they may believe in it as well, but they're just too afraid or they're just too unsure whether they need to speak out or not. But if you believe that it's the best interest for a majority of the people, for everybody in the system or in whatever you're involved in, it could even be your family, your neighborhood, you know, your community, your association, your company, it could be anything. If you believe that it is for the good for the majority of the people, for all of the people, do speak out. Believe in your inner knowing, especially if you have facts, like concrete, tangible facts. Speak out. Even if it hurts, even if it makes your voice shake. Because we need more of these types of people out there. There are many issues around the world, in various countries, in various communities that don't get finished, that just keeps on going. It's because everybody is indirectly complicit because they're not saying anything about it. Many people are so numbed about many things out there. They are so desensitized that they just want to save themselves. It's important to make sure that you are in a safe place, in an advantaged place, but there are various instances where you should think, do I want to be secure in my own place when I know that somebody right next to me is suffering? Like, can you live with that? There are many people who can live with that, but for me, I can't. Especially when you're also impacted directly by this injustice. Call these injustices out. Try to make better changes from the inside, because that's more easier than when you're from the outside. But even if this doesn't work, if you can't work with it, if you can't have people on your team to make things better for everybody, you know what's best to do next. But at least you tried. I believe that this is something universal, like these situations could happen to anyone and anywhere. See how it fits to your condition. Basically, don't stay quiet, don't stay complicit if there's legit, blatantly an injustice in front of your eyes. And this is an ongoing journey for all of humankind. I was just opening Instagram and then I just saw this quote that popped up on my newsfeed. So it says, sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. By Christine Kane. So what I can take from this and connecting to what I've been explaining is that sometimes when you're trying to speak out against an injustice, you just feel that you're all alone, you're buried, it's dark, nobody else wants to step forward like you do. But build that courage, plant that courage in you to sprout out the truth so everybody will be enlightened. But at least you know that you've made the right decision for the betterment of most people, or for everyone even. So those are the things that I have learned throughout my 20s, from 20 years of age until 29 years of age, and hopefully this has been insightful for you. And who knows, you can also fit this into your circumstances. And I wish you all the best in your life journey, whatever you're going through, pull through. You will make it. We will make it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Touch me with your arms.